Hi everybody, back with our next art challenge. But before we hear about this week's art challenge, I just want to say thank you. We've been receiving amazing collages and sculptures, and it's just so fun to see what your artistic expression looks like at home. So keep it coming. I'm sure you've noticed the art flip grids, and for those of you who haven't, look for the art flip grids, art challenge flip grids that come out every week with the art challenge that give you an opportunity to show off your work to me, to your teachers, and to your fellow classmates. So check that out. This week, we're thinking about the idea of still life. Still life. Have you ever heard of a still life drawing or a still life painting? It's described like this. I pick up my notes. A still life is a painting or a drawing of an arrangement of objects, typically including fruit and flowers. But it doesn't have to include fruit and flowers. Lots of artists like to paint and draw things that are arranged on a table, things that are still, that they can look at carefully and then represent on a page or on a canvas. It takes an important skill, and that is careful observation to be able to try to represent what you see in front of you on a page. And it can be realistic, or it can be kind of abstract or impressionist, meaning it can look exactly or close to a realistic representation of that arrangement of objects, or it look similar, but not exactly the same. So I want to share with you a drawing experiment that I undertook today. I love this new plant in my world. Can you see it has very, very thin, very thin, I don't even know what to call these, leaves or stems. It's just like corkscrews coming out of the soil. It's so beautiful. And it has some beautiful rocks in the bottom, and I really love this pot that it's in. And I thought, why don't I take this arrangement of objects, this pot, this plant, these rocks, and try to represent them in a still life. So here's what I came up with. This was my take on it. I don't know if you can see. I had to carefully look at the dots on the pot. I had to carefully think about the ways that the corkscrews, for lack of a better word, I don't know if they're, I think it's a succulent, so I don't know if you would call those leaves necessarily, but those shapes of the plant that are coming out of the soil, how they bend. And I took a look at the rocks too. What do they look like? What is the shape? What is the texture of the rocks? I kind of shaded in a little bit between the rocks. And I thought, all of you could do the exact same thing, but with your own kind of chosen arrangement of objects. So your art challenge this week is to, number one, choose some objects. Doesn't matter to me if they're your Ninja figures or your Lego guys or your toys. It could be an arrangement of fruit in the kitchen. It could be any group of objects that you arrange yourself. Then the next step is to choose your medium. Your medium is, what are you going to use to represent this arrangement of objects? Pencil and paper is all you need. You don't need a special pencil, you don't need a special paper, just pencil and paper. You can use pen, you can use paint, you can use canvas. All of those are appropriate. So whatever you have in your home that you choose to use as your medium is awesome. And the third step is to observe closely. It's a skill that I know that you practice in science. We also practice observing text closely. We practice observing equations closely and word problems closely. So this isn't really any different. And try your best to look closely at that arrangement of objects and represent them in some way on the paper or the canvas that you have in front of you. Again, is my representation exactly like this? I mean, it's not a perfect picture, but it's pretty close. So I want you to be forgiving of yourself when you try this new skill called still life drawing, and see if you can just test it out, try it out. Use it as a challenge to see if you can represent what you see that's sitting still in front of you on the page. And as always, there will be a Flipgrid available that will say Art Challenge Still Life Week. All right, friends, go at it.